so I can't keep up with it. But we have 2 more matches ahead for you. The next one we're actually going to be able to check out is going to be Impact against Bois. All right, so cool. Impact, and we were a little disappointed. I don't say disappointed. We were caught off guard at the fact that they weren't able to perform at the level we knew they would.
Right. Yeah, they had a little bit of a draft loss early on against Gatekeepers. I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table against Bois. Of course, I think this game is pretty heavily in favor of Impact simply on skill levels alone. But I'm really excited to see what they draft. I think they'll change up the draft a little bit after their punishing loss earlier. So to see what they will bring in response is going to be very cool.
I mean, we can see how impactful the draft has been even just today. Yeah. Even in comparison to North America, while it was kind of impactful, there's something special today. Even just watching what Functional Sociopaths brought out, it was something new that their opponents had to deal with. Game On actually had to decipher it, because they were losing to it.
And I think that's the coolest thing about how well Game On is doing. That is, the overarching storyline is how these guys play as a team. They haven't been switching comps. They are solely relying on playing as a unit and the comp they bring to the table. And the fact that they aren't switching it up, as a lot of teams are, speaks volumes of how good they are.
And we talk about who the team captain is, who the shot caller is. I think it's always important to know who that's going to be in a game like this. There's so much going on, and it's very difficult to actually get the overarching story. And I think a support is always going to be, I'd personally say, one of the best suited roles for that, because the support gets to back out. Your melee is going to be a little bit tunneled in, always have I say a little bit less line of sight sometimes, because they're going to be a little bit deeper, honing in on one, getting that 1v1 as good as they can. The ranged can sometimes. I think the ranged and your support, those two are probably going to be your best shot callers. But Mini, clearly for that team, has been dominant for a shot caller for them. But moving forward to the next match, we're going to get the draft underway. Remember, it is a simple blind draft. Each pick one champion at a time, blind to each other, reveal it, and then they move on to the next one until we have our 6 champions.
Couple things I'm very interested to see. I want to see what kind of support Impact plays. We saw them play Paloma earlier with not too much success, though I think what Gatekeepers played had a lot to do with that. So I'm interested to see whether they stick with the Paloma. I know Godolph also plays an amazing Lucy. Godolph, one of the best Lucies in the world. But the fact that they lead with a Varesh on the side of Impact makes me think we might see a Paloma.
We're probably going to see a Paloma again, trying to do that Castle or Battleship. I know I like the Battleship one, but clearly I think Castle was the one that everyone else went, or Fortress.
Yeah.
Any of the things that don't move.
Things that don't move.
Or move very slowly, because battleships apparently move. I learned that when I.
Hey, we get the Lucy.
We're going to get a Lucy and Varesh. All right, and we're going to see Jamong and Ulrich on the other side, which means I'm guessing probably a Thorn for Bois.
I would like to see Thorn. I think that Thorn is a very good fit into that comp, and we've seen Thorn be very successful today.
Potentially Freya. I don't think we'd see a Bako mixed up with this one, although I do still love the Bako Ulrich.
Yeah, the problem with Freya here is you don't know what the melee character for Impact is, or even if there's going to be a melee character.
That's true.
I think if Impact led with a melee, then it would be more likely we saw Freya.
Rygon.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, if I'm going to go off of yesterday's results, I'm going to say Bois is probably going to lose this one.
Because Rygon just struggled a lot.
Yeah, Rygon. I mean, a lot of people were saying Rygon looked very good, but I could not be less impressed by Rygon's performance yesterday. I think the character is very lackluster, especially against Freya and a Varesh. This is not a comp that Rygon is going to have success into.
And a Lucy. I mean, all that combined, Rygon has 2 abilities that he can deal with stuff. There's going to be space in his counter.
Yep.
After that, he has to hope he has Dragon Palm if he gets the recast, but he needs to land it to get the recast. Wait, I haven't played Rygon in a long time. I know his battle rights got swapped up a bit. So even so, he has a lot to deal with, and his counter's not going to find nearly as much value when you have Shatter, when you have Thunderclap, and you have Clarity.
Yep. Yeah.
Not going to be easy for that poor man.
Yeah, even the Lucy having Clarity Potion for Rygon is such a problem because he can't just walk at them and parry, because Godolph, he's going to have that awareness. Godolph is a very smart dude, a very good player. He's going to know what the Rygon wants to do. I feel bad for Bois.
All right, so people actually had to make predictions before today, but let's see if it lines up with what we think is about to happen. We've got 66% in favor of Impact and 34% Bois. This is the first landslide we've seen in Europe.
Yeah, and even then, it's not that much of a landslide. Only 33% for Bois. It's not like it's like 90 versus 10. But yeah, I think that's probably accurate. I think Impact will likely win this one.
Yeah, I mean, even you can tell that they thought that team comps aside, but with the team comps, clearly it seems that we are in favor. I mean, it really comes down to your melee has a very particular role.
Yeah.
Your melee is going to deal damage, of course, as everybody's going to deal damage. But there's something particular a melee has to do, and it's get that sense of urgency on your opponents. You need to make them feel, if I don't get away from this guy soon, I will lose too much health, and it's not worth it.
Absolutely.
So they're trying to time their mobility, trying to time all their stuff. But if Rygon can't get in, he's always going to get that first space. That's fine. They can't really stop that.
Yeah.
He's going to get the first space, but then what does he do to maintain that?
Yeah, it's very tough, even because if you're the Raigon and you choose to use your space to go in, then the Freya is just going to have a free reign over you. Because no matter what you do next, she's going to have Thunderclap available to answer the parry or whatever else you're doing. So he won't have a hard out. So I think what we will see the Raigon doing is trying to mount in, run in on his mount.
Yeah.
But even then, he has to weave through a minefield, man.
We haven't seen a lot of players actually take the launch battle right where he launches you with your E and gets them to follow suit to kind of close the gap. And I get that it's probably not terribly valuable, but in a situation like this, do you think he could possibly pick it?
I think it's very possible. That Battlerite seems to be very preference-based. It's not like a must-pick by any means, but I think it's very likely we see it, especially in this game.
I mean, he's going to want to get as much mobility gap closing right now because when you have someone like Lucy that can just keep you at bay.
Yeah.
And then let's say your parry gets messed up, then you got to worry about panic. And you probably will for sure get panicked.
Yeah, I think that is the exact point I wanted to bring up. If he can get onto Lucy with one extra tool, if he can hit that seismic shock or seismic toss and hit onto Lucy and find another free way to get on her, that changes the pace of the round because Lucy then has to use cooldowns on herself instead of her allies and forces her allies to come back to her. So I think that could be a good battle right here.
And this is the conversation I started with earlier, talking about where everybody thinks there is a perfect series of battle rights. I really seriously think that there's a lot of battle rights that are underused. And I think it's just our natural tendency we pick some battle rights, we get really, really good with that type of kit, and then it feels like, well, why would I change from this?
Right.
I find so much value in this. But it really comes down to how many times, like, think about this. If there's a battle right that gives you like 4 extra damage on a certain ability, you're like, well, how many times am I really going to land that ability? Let's think about that, right? And with this new system, since you can pick anything, it used to be on specific abilities or specific rounds.
Right.
But now that you can just replace that with something else, how do you play? I mean, right now we know that Bois won't be able to play Raigon the way that he wants to play Raigon. So what battle rights will he choose to help that out?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things about this game, in all honesty. You get that variation and that counterplay, even if at its core your character is very mismatched against somebody else's. I'm very interested by what I saw Godof's starting build be in terms of battle rights. He doesn't have any barrier rights. Generally, you'll see the barrier knockback taken against Raigon, but Godof feeling so confident that he doesn't need it.
He must feel that no one's going to be able to actually close down on him. We see Freya and Varesh taking some rain of arrows damage. And look at this. There it is. Boos just really hunting down that Lucy. The shield from Varesh comes out, but not a lot of damage on Agata. Although now there it is. Look at the double rain of arrows and the trap. He takes so much damage. Boos is looking mighty healthy. Ditzler has enough for an ultimate. He's going to go 1 for the orb, 1 for the damage, 2 for the damage, but the orb's going to get taken by Ulrich.
I really like that play coming out from Dizzler, but it's looking like it might not pay off as Veg is getting incredibly low, taking a little bit more damage than he can afford. Yeah, the Varesh is getting so low, but he's not going to get hit by that EX space. The Dragon Slayer from Bloods is also going to miss. This is such a mess down bottom, and the amount of shields on Freya is allowing her to continue to play aggressively. She might be able to find the kill, but she's caught in the root. The Penitence is on her, and she's starting to take those E's. The counter and the barrier both used on her. This is so dicey, Carpet.
She just barely knocked back Ulrich enough so he couldn't get that second E hit, the smite. Oh, but he knocked up Freya. She might go down here. She's got almost nothing knocked up. And then chased, by the way, Raigon did go that battle, right?
He did. And it's working out for him quite well. We're seeing him stay on the Lucy pretty successfully. And now with complete mid-control, We Dem Boys, if they secure this orb, I'm going to feel really good about their chances in this round.
Yeah, but Impact has an ultimate right now in God of.
Oh, Dizzler getting so low to that rain of arrows. All of the shields used on him as well.
The double shield, oh no, and he had to use the roll, so he doesn't have the sticky goo anymore.
Yeah, no more goo. The Petrify is going to come out to slow down the roll of the Ulrich. He has the Judgment on him, but it's not going to get hit. And that entrance with that Seismic Shock going to do pretty well. Now the Freya trying to play aggressive here, trying to make some space and gain some shields, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
I have no idea how they've survived this long. Red team got another orb. That's 4 orbs to none. I don't think the Impact can make it much longer. It's just a matter of time. We do have an ultimate from Varesh. He's going to use that potentially as a mobility as well and damage. If they can pair that up with a crippling goo.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Blood's, of course, sitting on another full bar of energy, sitting on that stick of butter. He might charge his ultimate here if he should choose to. The ultimate going to come out from Vague, but Dizzler doesn't even need to eat an ultimate to die. We finally see the Dragon Slayer come out, but Vague hops right over it.
The Freya ultimate didn't actually even catch the orb. That's got to feel real bad.
Oof, that's a rough one.
Yep. Still, though, they stayed alive so long. That means if Impact hadn't lost that chunk, that one turning point for them.
Did you see that? He cancel cast his EXM1 a couple times and then Dragon Palms Godof into the sudden death. Oh, Boos. Oh, Boos.
So if Impact hadn't lost that health early on, it could have been a very, very different round.
Yeah.
Strictly because you saw how long they lasted with almost nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. If they took less damage, they might have won.
Yeah, that's. You know what? No, you're right. I'm an idiot.
No, you make a great point. I mean, Godov, he got caught out a little bit at the beginning. It's exactly like we mentioned. Bois, it seemed like he got that E hit onto Godov, which gave him that extra in, and the Lucy just had such a tough time from that point.
Godov now trying to keep his space away from Bois. Dragon Palm 1 to Dragon Palm another. The parry's now down, which means the Panic's going to be a free hit. Freya wants to go find damage as well. Bois has almost nothing, and he's got the double debuff from Varesh. Now it's looking much more in favor of Impact.
Oh, yeah, things are looking pretty good here for Red, though, as they're able to get the orb. Bois sitting on just a couple percentage HP deficit. The goo is going to come out, and man,
this might be, that's it for Bois.
God, where'd he go?
The parry might be there, but he is going to go down. The crippling goo to help secure the kill. Impact getting their first orb as well. This round is theirs.
And that's what I expect from Impact. That is what I want to see. The beautiful team coordination and playing together as a unit, similar to what we saw Game On do earlier. The beautiful turn there onto Bois and the absolute hard punish onto him as a result, round winning.
Oh, the flick on the Varesh. That was pretty gross, Blood Assassin, but you knew he could only R in so many directions. But Lorio took so much damage in the meantime.
Yeah, things are looking pretty good here for Impact, as we mentioned. Blood's trying to get out as much damage as he can, but he can't do as much as has been done to his Ulrich. All that's left is Blood's. He's going to try to cast that Dragon Slayer, and it will land, but all for nothing.
Satisfying to land even if you die shortly after. Impact's going to tie up this map 1 round to 1 round. Now one was heavily in their favor.
I love that Lucy pose. It's so happy. She's just like, look at me, I did it.
She always sounds so happy.
I know.
Even when she's... I mean, that's, I guess, her character, but it's still pretty funny. Brewing!
Happy's great. We need more happy people like Lucy. But yes, a great play coming out from Impact that round. It looked like a different team, to be honest. Looked like they kind of cleaned up their mistakes, and hopefully this is their return to form.
3, 2, 1.
All right, Boos, see if you can close the gap on Lucy this time. Godov did a great job of keeping a lot of space between him and Rygon. Look at that. He has to go right out immediately after. He's actually going to use his E to close the gap. There's the Dragon Palm, just finding Varesh instead. He's closed the gap now, and he's got, look at the damage he's putting onto Dizzler.
Yeah, absolutely massive damage output there from Bois. He finds his way back onto the Lucy, and he's just terrorizing this backline. And meanwhile, Veg is not having any success.
Freya took significant amounts of damage. Blood Assassin completely full in health and energy. Just use a little bit to try and get some heals up.
Veg trying to find his way in. The Dragon Slayer is now going to come out.
Look at that shield.
Oh
What
God.
on earth?
Yeah, so many shields for Veg there, keeping him alive. Dizzler, though, he's starting to get kind of low. The goo is going to get next to no value, and now things are looking pretty bad for Godov. He's trying to get back to his Freya to help her out, but everyone is so split here.
They're so split, but they're actually somehow still staying alive. There's the shield from Varesh. That's now down. Ulrich's going to go in and try and get the final blow. No, he's going to actually R away from it. Veg is now dealing with a 1v1 from Boos. The barrier's out. Won't find much value. Orb will be up any second now, and Impact seriously need it.
Yeah, the Inhibitor's Guard help keeping the Varesh alive, but I'm not sure for how long. The goo here is going to be thrown out onto Bois, but the Heavenly Strike's available. And Impact is getting so split. We Dem Boys really dictating the pace of this match. The Freya ultimate not even going to land on Lorio, I think, and this is looking pretty sad.
It's definitely looking really rough. Veg can find some value. There's a good chance he could potentially kill Boos if they let their guard down. But again, not a lot of energy, not a lot of cooldowns. He just used his counter and his space and his E. That's it for him. Oh, the barrier's going to barely keep him alive. He grabs a little bit of energy there. They need more than just the orb. They need to be alive.
Yes, they do need to be alive, and We Dem Boys taking that other orb and leaving Godov for all but dead. Godov going to finally go down, and Impact is now down 2-1. I'm very surprised by this carpet. I wonder if it was a change in meta. I wonder if the playing field has just been leveled out or what, but Impact not looking nearly as dominant as we expected them to.
So I want to poke your brain, and feel free to tell me that you don't want to answer this question under pressure.
Okay.
But Rygon, how you feeling about him?
He looks a lot better here. I really like the way Boos is playing, and he's navigating this backline very well. I think a lot of it has to do with how Veg is playing. Veg is going mostly onto Lorio and Blood's Assassin instead of coming back and focusing on Boos. I think that might be a potential pain point for Impact. Just like we see here, in the backline, Boos is doing a great job, and meanwhile, Veg is trying to 1v2 the other two characters and not having as much success.
Godov with one of the dirtiest panics ever, reading the spacebar from Rygon like he's nothing. Boos, look at him navigating that. He uses E to go in, and then uses, oh, nice bait from Godov, but then he got the WASD and walked away from the panic, and Impact took the orb. 125 energy for Dizzler and full health.
Look at those.
Bois looking dangerously low.
Yeah, Bois starting to get really low. The goo comes out and is going to land. The parry is available, but still he's being chased down. Dizzler hard committing. This might be a kind of a dicey situation as Godolph is left all alone, but things are looking like they will be okay for Impact.
He's got so much energy. He's going to take a lot from this double rain of arrows. Ultimate to help secure the orb. Oh, can't go through the parry. Gets him for the kill.
Yeah. Dizzler saw that heavenly strike for the orb. He's like, what's up? I got that full bar of energy. Gonna hit you with that real quick. And he went down pretty quickly there. Really nice play from Dizzler, recognizing the cooldowns weren't available for Bois and getting the kill.
It is a very risky thing as Rygon. If you don't have energy for a Dragon Palm and you're going to go in and have a rush, you better hope he does not have an ultimate because your parry does absolutely nothing. Jamon will go down, follow his friends, and now Lorio accepting his fate.
Oh!
Nice shatter.
Swag. Dizzler going for that cool play, just getting that crush back into the goo. Nice play from Dizzler. Playing really well that round, and Veg doing a great job rotating back to help his allies. Looking like we're going to have a little bit of a connection issue here, but very pleased with how Veg adjusted that round. Prior, I was mentioning how it looked like Godolph was getting left to the Rygon quite a bit, but Veg in the middle of that round, after the first orb, rotated back, and they just manhandled the Rygon together.
Trading rounds back and forth, if we know pattern from yesterday and today, that should be it for trading. One team's now going to win 3 in a row, but I don't think it's going to happen at all. These teams seriously seem very, very even. Their play styles are working well into actually finding those moments to counter each other, finding the pillars of weakness. I got to say, I like the Rygon. Also, I've established you just don't like North American Rygon. You like European Rygon.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe that's the thing. But yeah, this Rygon has been looking much better. I think it has to, like I mentioned, I think a lot of it has to do with Veg's playstyle. Veg is a player that wants to 1v2 the backline, which isn't what you generally do against the Freya or see against the Freya. Generally, if you are, or against the Rygon. Generally, if you're Freya, you just run at the Rygon.
Yeah.
You try to give him a really hard time, but that's not Veg's style. Veg does Veg, and Veg wants to run at the enemies.
The E Battlerite is really helping him out, and I'm glad we were able to kind of bring that up and chat about that before, just seeing how impactful it is.
Yeah.
It is helping him close that gap. He can use his spacebar to go out, and you think you're safe from a Rygon, then he uses his E right back in.
Yeah.
Still has parry. It helps him with his rotations.
Absolutely here, and Bois is getting melted early on, and we see what happens when you pair up the Freya against the Rygon. He's already down to about half.
Lucy needing to roll away the double rain of arrows, the placement of the rain of arrows, covering as much ground as possible. Orange or red will easily get this orb.
Ooh, yeah, that judgment onto Bois, though. The damage is coming out from Freya, and Freya's taking next to nothing. It finally starts to add up a little bit, but a nice panic slows the roll of the Ulrich.
Rygon now struggling against this vague Freya. Double debuff on Bois. He's just going to try and wait this out. Doesn't want to engage with that. Doesn't want it to reapply.
Ooh, Dizzler, he's playing scary here. He's forced to R out, try to get away, but now the Rygon beating up this backline, trying to secure the orb for his team, and it's looking like, yeah, the Whedon Boy is able to get it.
Nice incapacitate.
Good pet.
Petrify, but it gets broken almost immediately. Dizzler does have an ultimate, so
very surprised to see Dizzler not pop off his ultimate there, but things are still looking okay for him as they get a decent amount of damage. The Dragon Slayer, here it is, but it's not going to hit, just off the mark.
Dizzler doing a good job of WASDing in a wild direction, so it's that much harder to read him. Blue team will secure that with an EX Shatter.
Yeah.
Dizzler was able to secure that for his team. The counter's up. He might need to ult here just for safety, but Ulrich's going to go down up top.
Yep, we got that Freya versus melee matchup going up top. Bois now 1v1ing off against Godolph. Godolph gets the inhibitor's guard to help him out, and on the other side of the map, Blood's Assassin gonna fall. All right, Carpet, I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Impact doesn't lose another round.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, they win these next two hands down.
Bold prediction. All right.
Looking like they got this figured out a little bit. Veg's rotations are looking on point, and I'm feeling very confident for him.
All right, well, see if Whedon Boys has anything to answer to your prediction. The Ulrich falling first that time, which actually we almost never see.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Veg just went ham on him, and of course Ulrich doesn't have that many answers to Veg's Freya, as the Freya with that thunderclap does not care about shields.
Opening up with the favor. You can see Veg putting pressure to the backline. Boos. He's loving going against this Lucy.
Yeah.
God, if he couldn't get the bait, but then he missed the end cap. Boos lost some energy for that.
Look up top. Veg is absolutely destroying in this 1v2. He had the help of Dizzler for just a little bit, and a nice Petrify slows down the roll of Boos. This is looking really good for Impact as they secure the first orb, and with it a 20% HP advantage.
Dizzler has 125% energy. There's the ultimate from Freya. Forces out some mobility, which means maybe Dizzler will be able to ult very shortly if he rebuilds it again. But at this point, I think the cooldowns are going to be back.
Ooh, a nice spear there from Lucy, getting Boos off of him. It's exactly what he needed, but Boos wants back on. Boos says, what's up, Lucy? I'm not going anywhere. He gets a nice in cap onto the Freya and immediately rotates back, doing a great job of splitting up his enemies as Boos.
The double Dragon Palm to keep Fresh away, but oh my god, Ulrich getting melted.
Yep, sometimes you just die to all the jumps of a Varesh ultimate, and that's exactly what we saw there. Dizzler eats Lorio alive.
Godev about to probably use the goo right now, knowing that the, yep, there it is, nothing left for Bois. Also, no friends left for Bois.
Yeah, he's like, why would I hold for a roll here? I'm just going to press F, it's more fun. You play video games for fun, right?
Yeah, that's true. Impact, 1 round away from taking the victory and making In the Flesh sound like a genius.
Please do me a favor, make me sound smart for once.
Weedham boys really starting to just feel a little more spread out, losing the 1v1s. I won't say losing, but not thriving in the 1v1s that we'd seen. Rygon not having as much success in the backline. Godev doing a good job of just handling him. He might not be like winning the trades, but he's keeping him at bay long enough and getting distracted to where Vague, then you talk about how good he is as a melee player, can handle the backline, but Boos this time looks like he's actually going to try and turn on Vague. Vague losing a lot of cooldowns.
Yeah, Vague, honestly, though, he is owning in this 1v2. It was a 1v3 for a quick moment, and he's still at full carpet. Vague absolutely dominating Weedham boys at the moment.
Action saying deadly injection, the E, incapacitate onto Freya.
Oh my gosh, and this Hand of Judgment combined with just Freya's natural damage output.
I think Boos is dead here.
Yeah, dude, he's a goner. Boos has nowhere to go. He doesn't have any energy. He manages to get some greens, but Vague is just going to run at him.
Weedham boys did secure that orb, so it gave him a little bit back. But look at the health pool percentage, 84% to 59.
Yeah, things looking pretty good, and the orb going to help start off the Varesh ultimate. He uses it to position aggressively, but he's kind of caught between 3. He has to use his R to get out, but he doesn't go very far with it.
It's a good thing that he's actually able to build up energy fast, and the 125% energy has done great for him.
A beautiful bait of the parry there from Godolph ensures that Boos has nothing left, and now Vague is just going to run at him. I don't have a vague idea how Boos is supposed to survive this.
That was good.
You like that?
Yeah. Oh, Boos able to actually snag that orb from right underneath Godev, but Godev does have the goo, and they know that Rygon's gonna have something left. Will we see her use it, or is she gonna play safer? Just missing the Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, so unfortunate there, and now Ulrich is just getting ran at by this Frey, and it's looking like Impact is in such a dominating position. Oh, the counter is procced, and down goes Boos, and Impact gonna take it.
Well played by Impact, and you were right. They really figured out Weedham boys. It seems to be the pattern. It seems to be a 2-game trade pattern that it takes these teams, these brainy teams, to decipher how to defeat their opponents. It's always trading back and forth for 4 games, and then one team's like, never mind.
Never mind, we'll take that. Yeah, Impact has a history of doing this as well. There have been a lot of Rivals Esports tournaments where against Gatekeepers in the finals, they'll lose the first 2 rounds of each game, and then they'll just win the next 5. So I'm not entirely surprised to see it here. This is a team that's very good at adapting to strategy and recognizing how they need to play.
And then it's going to be our second to last match of the day, and they're going to look to be taking another 3 points for them on the leaderboard. We'll check in with that soon enough. But Godev, Dizzler, and Vague, the Freya pick. I'm personally, for a team, I still think it's an interesting pick at times. Yeah. But obviously, you can see where it finds raw value. If Freya could just do her job of just forcing out cooldowns and doing damage and winning 1v1s, which Freya's kit does a really good job doing, especially against other melees. She was against 2 melees there. She can just use her E to get through shields and get through anything that reflects any kind of, I guess, directional protection. She can pierce right through. But you were especially talking about just the burst capabilities of this team. So we're going to check out a quick clip of the capacity that they have. I think it was one of the times Ulrich got completely destroyed.
Yeah.
But you want to speak to it?
The Varesh ultimate, man, if you get that Hand of Judgment caught on you, sometimes you'll just immediately get burst down. I believe we see it here coming up shortly. Dizzler finally gets enough energy and pops it off. He lands it onto the Jumong at first and then moves over, and you just see how much value he gets out of that ability. It's just so massive applying your debuffs. It's very, very good, and it's honestly the win condition of Varesh. You want to have Hand of Judgment to amp up your allies and make it so they do more damage, and you want to be able to get shatter combos off of it because it gives you a nice amount of healing.
And that was also paired up with a panic from Lucy, so again, the team working well together. Not a lot of time between each of those flicks of his ultimate, and yet there's still time for Godev to figure out, I should probably panic so we can lock down at least 2 more of these.
Yeah.
So that was very well played by them. They were able to figure it out, trading rounds back and forth, but they're able to take the victory. You think they're going to be dominating in this group?
I think there's so much wacky stuff that's happened. I'm done. I'm done predicting what's happening. I never would have guessed that Game On is 3-0 in Group A. Group B is a bit of a crazy group, of course, because Gatekeepers and Impact are both in it. So I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go, but I think these guys are certainly one of the best.
Speaking of Gatekeepers, we're going to get to see them coming up next. It's going to be Gatekeepers up against Pulse Trunk.